is, have you ever been attracted to a cartoon character? And if so, which one? Don't blame me for this.
Let me just think for a second.
I'll answer it if you do to make you feel better about it.
Attracted to? I mean, oh man, the only one that springs to mind, it's not even like, it wasn't from a cartoon, it was from a video game. It was Merrill in Metal Gear Solid, but I wouldn't say I was like attracted. It was just more like, I don't know. It was just this because in the game you have this thing with her anyway, and it was just like the first time I'd seen that in a video game. So I was like, whoa, feeling those feelings myself.
I was talking to my friends last night. I was like, I'm not looking forward to asking this question. And then my mate was like, he was like, so I said what the question was, and he was like, what do you mean, have I ever? It's like, I'll give you my top 10.
Nice. What about you?
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't have come back on that. Yeah. I reckon do you ever watch Archer?
No, I know what it is though.
Like the main girl in Archer.
Really?
Yeah. People will know that watch Archer. They'll be like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, we were talking about it, and he was like, "That's an easy question." He just reeling them off. I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess it's not that bad then."
Yeah.
And actually, funnily enough, the guy that asked you a question, I'll tell you off in a bit, because I like to keep it a bit secret. But
okay,
like, I think Beer's into his video games and stuff, so maybe.
Yeah, I like my video games
a lot, apparently.
Yeah, man. No, I'm well. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, no, it's just. Well, I was in that generation where like PS1 was like groundbreaking. I mean, how old are you?
24.
Okay, so yeah, like, what would have been the first major console that you tried to get when you were?
It was when I was about 7, I got a PS2, but then PS3 was like when I was properly wired in.
Yeah, so like when I was 7 or 6th birthday, I got a Sega Mega Drive. So that's like old. Do you even know what that is?
Oh, I know what it is. Yeah, I'm not that far behind. Like, I know what. I think I would see like friends, like older brothers and stuff, would have like, you know, those kind of things.
Yeah. So I had that, and then it was like that was cool, but PlayStation hit, and like I said, Metal Gear Solid. We're like, I was in what, year 6, so it's like I'm a kid, like still like 10, 11 when those kind of quality games came out. So I was definitely at the right on the sweet spot for getting into gaming. So I'm just like, yeah, love it.
Yeah, let me just check. I'm checking. I'm actually run back on the. Oh, good. I'm using the right microphone because I switched around when we were checking the audio. So yeah, what was I going to say? Weirdly, something I actually wrote down that that I've not actually had a chance to ask anyone yet is, I know loads of musicians are big on their gaming, and I'm wondering like I don't know what the link is almost between, if there's some sort of, I don't know what it is, but I was talking to Jamie Oldfield, Jamie Slays, you know, YouTuber, about like gaming and stuff, and he says he loves just the idea of like, I think the pursuit, and then almost just like restarting it and kind of doing it all over. And I don't know how that ties to music, but I feel like there's such a link between musicians and gaming, but I don't know. Yeah. Do you have any idea what that might be? Or
I think obviously like music and games, there are so many different genres and reasons why people get into it. So I don't know as a general thing, but like for me, particularly because I love the like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, you know, the Elden Ring that's just come out. Like I'm into those games, the From Software ones, and they're like notoriously difficult. Like, because you have to, it's quite a skillful kind of game to have to like get the art of being able to play it so that you don't just get destroyed around every corner that you go around, because all the enemies are really difficult. So for me, it's like that pursuit of like getting it down so that you are really good at it and you can like just go through the world and fucking boss it whenever something comes along that you need to destroy. So that's fun. And for me, like with music, yeah, there's obviously an element of obviously musicality, but skill in like learning technique and going through all that stuff on guitar. So like that's the parallel I suppose I draw with it. It's like,
I'm still at the Sega Mega Drive level of playing.
Oh yeah. Do you not play
hopefully games? Not. I might have got to PS2. I don't know.
Do you not play video games?
Oh no, I meant as in my guitar playing. Is it?
Oh right. No.
I used to. Huh?
You're a good guitar player, man. What are you talking about?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and write some dirty riffs as well. So
yeah, I'm trying to. I actually left that band not so long ago, so I'm just like,
that's
I'm
fair.
kind of. I have to say like voluntarily, otherwise someone thinks you've done something.
Yeah,
So yeah, just finding somewhere else to place the dirty riffs. I don't know.
yeah, man.
Figure that out. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like outside interests, I know skating's a big thing for you. What kind of got you? What came first in terms of your music or like skating? Was there one that you
Skating.
were more into? Yeah. And
Yeah.
was there ever?
Actually,
would
no,
that ever-
I lie, completely lie. Drums was the first thing I did.
Hmm.
Drums was like from, I don't know, I think I was 8. I just like the guy my dad worked for at the time was a drummer, and we used to go over for like barbecues and like family meals and stuff like that. And he had his kit set up in like a studio, so it was and obviously at that age, like soundproof studio with like put CDs on and play along. Like obviously, this is the coolest thing ever. Just happened to get into it, so that was the first thing. But then skating was obviously hit like 12, 13, 14, teenager, kind of lost interest in music a bit. School was cool, like for messing around with your mates, and skating just kind of had a boom at that time. I think Tony Hawk's came out, first one.
Mhm.
So I got that. And that's, to be fair, that's what got me into skating. I saw a couple of guys skating at a Morrison's near where I used to live. And that was right around the time where I started playing Tony Hawk's. So that's why I got into skating then. So yeah, I'm and then I did that until I tore my ACL on my right knee. And then that's when I started playing guitar.
Yeah, I've seen you kind of give a lot of updates about the sort of the injury and that. Because I think with music, not just with musicians, but I feel like a lot with creative people, you kind of some people's a lot of their identity is focused on them as a musician, but obviously you've got all these other things kind of going on in life, from what I can tell from your kind of your other interests and stuff. Do you find, like, in terms of finding your sort of like identity, do you find you're always looking for new things to pursue, or are these all just little interests that have just come along throughout life?
Well, I'd say that like this combination of skating and music is the thing that I've identified with the most. So like since skating, like everything that I wear or dress is always like orientated around skating. I like skate. I only really ever wear skate shoes, like, or brands clothes that skate. It's just all that way out. And it's the same thing with, I'm not all the time, like obviously with music as well, sometimes being in that world as well, like there are certain stereotypes, sounds like an ugly word, but like there are certainly ways that people dress in the heavy music industry as well, or the heavy music world, should I say. A lot of black and jeans and tight jeans. But yeah, it's
conveniently wearing a shirt talking about fit for an autopsy. Like,
yeah.
No, what are you talking about?
It's not like, again, I don't mean it in that kind of in a disrespectful sense. It's just, and it's the same with skating, like the stereotypes of skating. And so I think I've just like, I identify way more with the nowadays, I think, because getting back into it over lockdown with like wearing that kind of stuff, especially like tracksuits. I've gotten well into wearing tracksuits just because it's comfortable. Like in lockdown, because everyone's at home all the time, just didn't want to wear like jeans and stuff. So I just put on a tracksuit and then ended up getting into that. My sister's a big advocate of them. So they're comfortable. And then like, I don't know if that answered your question, but when you say identify with stuff, like I feel more comfortable identifying with that skater thing than anything else, I suppose. Even though I'm not exactly the right build for skating or anything like that, I still just love it. I can't not do it. You know what I mean? It's one of those weird obsessions.
Yeah,
I've had since I was a kid.
It's funny what you're saying about tying with the video games, like how like beating bosses and connecting that with like how you get better at techniques and stuff. Because I'm a bit weirdly, and maybe this is why I'm not into video games so much, but like I do a bit of rock climbing, or not as much as I should have done recently, but I'm weird where a lot of people I encounter, they're like, they want to figure out the route. Like, so there's a route, but you can do it a few different ways, obviously, because it's just holding the wall. well. But like quite a lot of people want to figure it out themselves, whereas I'm kind of just like, I just want to be really good at it. So like I just enjoy doing it like the way. It's not, this might make me sound really close-minded. It's more that just like I like to know the way it's done and then to pursue that kind of thing. I'm not very good at when I'm writing stuff. I'm like a sort of ultra procrastinator in that if I don't know exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, sometimes I get a bit like, I don't know, a bit lost. I almost don't allow myself just to write a riff out of like nowhere. Like I know all the chords that are behind all the riffs I've written kind of thing. I didn't think about it that way at the time, but now I kind of do. And I almost regret that a bit. And I'm like, I don't know. It's sometimes, it's cool if do you find that you ever get wound up in that kind of like process of having to know? Because I don't know how, like, I remember, I think I've heard you say you're not massively like music theory heavy when it comes to your writing and stuff. Does that come quite freely? That's such a winding question. I don't
Do you mean like when it comes to writing, do I find it hard to come up with stuff like with no...
To kind of, just freely, like, and with anything creative. I mean, like, because you've done like designs for your clothing, right, and stuff like that. Any sort of creative outlet.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like just the easiest way, I suppose, is like pull it out of your head, like thin air kind of thing. Like whenever I come up with a riff or like have an idea for like something for a t-shirt or the visual with the plugin or what recently with all that stuff, it's literally just like, just imagine it and just kind of conjure up this idea in my head and then try and find a way of making it happen, you know. I know that seems really sort of quick answer, but it's that I don't feel like there's ever been a kind of predetermined process to do any of that stuff, like write any of those riffs or like do anything creative like that. It's really just kind of, if I'm in that place of feeling creative, just kind of let it happen, whatever comes out in music sense. But then again, if someone goes to me, what do you think would be a cool idea for a t-shirt or like a visual for something, I'll go away and think about it, find myself in certain situations in the day where it pops up in my mind, and then I'll spend the next 20 minutes just mulling it over in my head, and then usually I'll address it at that point. So like when we were doing, a good example was like when we were trying to come up with the name for the bare knuckle pickups, was like, this is initially was like, oh, I have no idea what it's called, and like, but then you're thinking about it more and you just start mulling it over, and then I wanted to relate it to the Toska album somehow, like, because it's very much, I was using those then, and like trying to get that reference that, and yeah, I think it's Silo, and there's something about the tone where the tone bombs are kept or something like that kind of popped up, just random shit like that in your head, and you just start elaborating on it until it comes to reality, I suppose.
Sounds like a weird chat up line. This is where the tone bombs are at.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
say that to your cartoon characters.
Yeah. Yeah. But definitely just, if I find myself in that creative headspace, just kind of let it sort of start happening and see where it gets me.
Yeah. Do you, because I mean, there's, with all the demos you're doing and stuff, there's obviously a demand to be creative. Yeah. When you do like these demo songs for whatever, a plugin or a pedal or something, there's a demand to be quite creative. What do you do if you're not feeling creative? And again, it doesn't have to just apply to writing, but just anything creative. What are you able to push through that, or do you have to just sort of ride it out and come back to it when you feel inspired?
I think I've found myself being able to push through it. It's been really helpful working with Neural DSP for that, to be perfectly honest. Like, because Dan, one of my best mates, that I don't know if you know Dan Davies. Do you know Dan Davies?
No.
Well, he's like, he used to work with Rob years and years ago. He's been in different videos that Rob used to do, and he's like throughout the years, and like he'll have popped up on my channel a bunch. But he's basically one of my best friends, and he's the CMO for Neural, so like super influential job role there. And wait, where was I going with this?
Being creative.
That was the one. Yeah, and so it's been really helpful working with Neural, because with him, he's obviously a good friend and knows the style. He used to manage Toska. He's like, you know, he knows my playing inside out and the music that I like to write and all that stuff anyway. So it's like, he'll go, oh, we've got a plugin coming out. It's this, and he'll tell me what it is, like the metal or whatever, or like the Nolly one or whatever. And then just like, do you reckon you could do like a track for it? Like, and because he kind of approaches it like that, and he's like, I reckon this would be a good one for you to do. Like a great example was when we did the Corey Wong plugin, and it's like this funky jam track that I did. And then at the end, it kind of just ended, and he was like, I reckon you need to bring it round for like a filthy reprise of like, it needs to go a bit dirty at the end, because it's like, it's really good, but it needs the filth. You usually add filth, and I know it's a funk kind of thing, but it needs the filth. So
get some Nuno in there.
Yeah, and it's just that like, so he pushes you, and it's like also allows me to sort of have a little bit of perspective on what it's aimed at, so you can kind of put yourself in that headspace when you're sitting down to, like I did the music for the Soldano plugin trailer, and that was like I knew that a Soldano was like that amplifier that's super sought after back in the day, and it's like an 80s hair metal shred king kind of amplifier, but also used by like all the greats. And I know that Nuno used it on 3 sides, I think, or one of the Soldanos. Anyway, the point being, because I put myself in that headspace of that's what that amp's good at, kind of started to imagine up all those kind of riffs that put myself in that like Nuno Extreme kind of headspace, and then just started throwing out riff to see what would happen. But I suppose this is again a big long-winded answer, but coming back to why it was helpful working with Neurals, because they're the only brand that were really asking for tracks. The brands don't really the way just like the way Dan, I think it's Dan as well, just loves people creating music for it. I think it's a good way of showing off stuff, but also pushes you to be creative, gives you a time limit, and that really trains you up in that world. Like because I don't know how like people that write these film scores and stuff must be so intense, like the amount of
I have no idea how they do that.
I would love to try, but I just can't imagine the workflow. I know there's a masterclass with Hans Zimmer thing, but I'm not even sure.
I really want to have a look at that.
Yeah, like he's the Don these days. It's like the modern day
John
Williams in a lot of ways, but like, yeah, I'd say like it's easier to push through creatively when you've got a good perspective on what it is you're trying to write for. Does that make sense? Like in this situation, yeah, there's a plugin does this, right? Well, I have to kind of show that off. Like again, with like the newest one, it was that we've just done. Mine, it was like, how do I show off all of that stuff in 3.5 minutes? Dan was like, it has to be 3.5 minutes. So there's a lot of stuff to try and cover, but you just kind of don't worry so much about the intricacies and just see what happens, see what first comes out. And if you can, I think it's a great, sorry, I'm waffling completely.
Oh, you don't know how many, I think more podcast guests than not apologize for waffling. It's like, it's the whole point.
Yeah. But yeah, I would say that it's good to just sometimes give yourself a bit of a time limit, or at least allow yourself to gain a good perspective on what it is you're trying to create. If you want to do it that way, to push through. If you really need to push through, just get a plan together like that, I suppose.
Yeah, it's weird because like creativity and planning, I think to a lot of people are just these polar opposite things, but I don't think they have to be. What was really cool actually when you mentioned the Soldano thing, it's like I remember when I heard that, I knew that was your playing like straight away. I mean, I had the hint because it was neural and I knew you did.
Yeah.
But I was like, that sounds like. I was like, oh, it is you. So yeah, so I suppose that's a compliment for you. But that's all good. The obviously putting the signature plugin out and all these kind of milestones you've had along the way. I mean, like that Stormzy photo is just like,
oh my god.
I'd pay money just for that. Like when you go on the roller coaster and you get the photo at the end. I'd pay money just to like put myself in that, like with the flames and stuff. But like I think that something that I always find intriguing is with all these milestones that you get, whatever they might be in varying parts of your career, do you find that it then becomes harder to appreciate some of the smaller wins at all? Because the amount I've kind of, it seems very much like sort of feeling of success is quite a relative thing. Like, that's the sort of perspective I've taken on from having chatted to people of varying degrees of success along the way. You know, after you've played to, like, I don't even know how many tens of thousands of people, or, you know, putting out a signature plugin and having signature gear and all of this stuff in the past, like, do you find it sometimes hard to appreciate not even just the smaller wins, just but like certain things? Because at any moment in time you could be like, oh well, I'm not playing to 80,000 people right now, you know.
No, because
no,
like,
that's totally fair. I was just wondering.
No, because like again, it might be a really simple answer, but like, because I skate, a kickflip is a victory. You know, like the day when I did a 360 flip between two ramps at the skate park was one of the best days ever, because that was like, I worked so hard for that trick, like that day, like I was at it for like an hour, just trying over and over and over and over again. And it's so intense. And when I actually landed it and was rolling away, it's like that blissful, like, oh my God, I managed it, victory feeling. And it's just a 360 flip between two ramps at a skate park. Like, there's nothing, you know, but to me, it was huge. And so things like that, I suppose, are why, I guess, if you want to call that a smaller thing that's insignificant in comparison to, say, playing that Stormzy show or whatever, but it still was like such an epic day for me. I had a great feeling that might sound crazy to say comparable to, but it's that feeling of victory and accomplishment from working really hard at something, focusing and actually getting it and doing it, and it paying off in that feeling of, you know, walking off stage or rolling away from the trick. And then even smaller and more insignificant would be when you kill a boss in the Dark Souls game, because that takes a lot of work. So those are the small victories in life that I appreciate. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think everybody's different, and like, my parents have always been really what's the word? It's really important to them to be level-headed and keep your feet on the ground, because that's what they're like. And my dad's always been really keen on drilling that in, you know, from a young age, when I was like learning guitar and stuff and getting a bit cocky or whatever, you know, and he'd just be like, nah, can't be like
I remember
that.
you saying, I'm sure I was going to actually mention this from what you were just saying. I'm sure I remember seeing in a video, but I was trying to find it. I couldn't remember which one it was. You were talking about your dad. I remember you said something along the lines of, you correct me if I'm wrong, you said something along the lines of like you were comparing yourself, or sort of saying, oh, I'm better than this guy. I'm better than this guy.
It was my dad's friend's son, I think. It was a guitar player. Yeah. And my dad had brought it up. And he was like, yeah, you know, he plays guitar as well. I was like, oh, is he as good as me? Kind of like innocently in a way. I wasn't even saying it cockily. I don't feel like I was at the time, but maybe it was. Maybe it's just how I remember it. Mm. And he sort of just stopped and he was like, nah, can't be like that. There's a million guitar players that are better than you. They'll always, you know, but not in a nasty way. But he like drilled it in at that moment. Like, can't have this attitude now. Like, what are you talking about? And so that's a good example of the ways that they sort of influence keeping your feet on your ground. So like, I don't know. Some people, it goes to their heads. You know, you see the success can make them egotistical or more arrogant, or they come off that way, I guess. I don't know. For many reasons other than just the success or whatever. But I've never felt like I would hate to think that I come off like that from anything that I've done or what's happened in my career, I guess. Like, for me, it's really important to just be the same person I was when I started trying to do it. You know?
Yeah, that's quite a big lesson to learn at a young-ish age. I don't know how old you are specifically, but that's quite like
14, 15, 15 and a half. 15,
yeah, I guess I suppose even then, like, it's a really important concept. The idea of just, it doesn't matter what someone else is doing. You know, it's just what you're doing.
Yeah, that's it. That's kind of what he was getting at. It's like, why you know, just focus on yourself, crack on with that, and like just make sure that you're the best you can be for yourself. And you know, there'll be always people better around the corner, kind of thing, or bigger, or stronger, or faster, or smarter, whatever. You know, not in a negative sense. It's just, the point is, it's not in your control. You can't control how good someone gets at something, so just control how good you can be at something, or how positive you can be towards something. That's kind of the lesson.
And you never know what life circumstances have wound someone up to get them to where they are. People talk about like talk about like all the sort of great sports people. It's like, if you ask them what else happens in like what other things they have in life, it's like, yes, they've got all the money and fame, but they haven't always got the social life, or you hear about sort of sport, like all these sports people, and then they've been married like however many times and fallen out with people, and you're just like, you kind of think like, just because they've got a great level, like a phenomenal level of success in something that's very publicly sort of revered, I think people just assume that the rest of it's all fallen into place nicely for them. Which is it's a weird one. But do you ever find yourself getting caught up in like numbers and things? And because obviously you've got you can see how many views you get, or is that an easy one to do?
I just don't care. And I don't mean that disrespectfully in the slightest. It's just maybe smaller lessons I've learned in the past was where I thought something might do well. So to answer that, you care about it, numbers, and then it come off not doing that well. I just thought, well, then that just means it's not in my control. Well, I just do the best I can. If it does well, cool. If not, whatever. But no, to be honest, I've never worried about money or like views or like career. I've always just, and I still do, just focus on like the shit that's exciting, like just makes me feel good and enjoy it. It's fun, like there are responsibilities that you get as you get older. Of course there are, but like most of the time when it comes to like career or like money or anything like that, I just don't like to think about the negative side. Like, what if this doesn't work out, or what if you run out of money, or like what if I don't know, whatever. I just can't be bothered to waste the energy on that kind of like headspace. I think over lockdown, maybe everyone gained a bit of anxiety and a bit of that space because it was such a weird thing to happen to everyone. And I think I gained a bit of that anxious trait, started to worry a lot more. And to be honest, thankfully, the biggest baptism of fire to get out of that was the Stormzy gig, because it was the first thing that happened outside of lockdown. It was the first gig I had to do out of that. And I was shitting myself. I was worried so much. And it forced me to just go back into that place I was in before, where I just like, I can't control it. I just got to do the best I can. Just got to go out there and just not worry. And that was a kickstart back into that kind of headspace. So that, I've never worried about that stuff, numbers, and just try to enjoy everything about that I do. And it's like, I mean, if I look at like the success or the numbers of the stuff that I've released music wise compared to some of the other bands out there, that it's like hugely different, but I've never cared, because as long as people enjoy it, it's kind of like, it's great. You know what I mean? That's kind of why you do it. I enjoy it. I like, so.
That's the thing, is that the really sad thing is that's quite unusual. Like, so many people are I get wound up in it. Like, so many people get wound, especially nowadays. It's so easy to, because like, it's so easy to measure things by numbers rather than by how you feel about something. Because you can quantify a number. You can look at 100 streams, or you can look at however many streams you've got, and that's a number on where you're at. Whereas it's much, obviously you can't, I think people latch onto it because it's like, you've got an answer to where you are in your own head, kind of.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, when money's involved, and for all of us trying to do careers in whatever area, if we talk about what we do, like internet-based media or whatever, like, numbers are important to the companies that pay you, obviously. But I just think that if you, the creator, or you, the artist, or whatever it is you do, worry about that as well, it's kind of like, it's not necessary. Just you focus on the thing that makes the companies want to work with you, or whatever, whatever that is, whether it's getting a gig or doing a video demo or working for a magazine or like whatever. I just think, don't try not to obsess about them, because at the end of the day, you can only do as good as you can, and you put it out there, it's done. It's not in control anymore. So it's either going to be like, shit, this is sick, and it gets shared loads and people love it, or it just floats through and over time and gradually builds, or that particular thing doesn't do it very well, but it just carry on. I remember it's like there was it's not even a really profound sounding quote, but I read it somewhere, and it's just that thing of like, if you pursue the things in life that really excite you, like make you feel good, then they just reward you more importantly further down the line. And it's, just make things work out. It's like come full circle kind of thing, because you put out positive intent and energy into something that makes you feel good, then I guess it comes back round if you focus on the good. That sounds super hippie, but it's just another way of saying
it
don't
works.
worry about the numbers.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, so like with the podcast, I put out little reels, like little snippets of the sort of the time we chat together, and I always try and I try and stay true to what I think is the most interesting part, not what is like the soundbite, because I feel like it's all that's going to do is draw in an audience, and even just people, like potential like work, like associates, I don't want to say associates, but you know what I mean, like connections.
Yeah.
That I'm just not, that just won't benefit me. It's like with my last band, I was working, like, because the dream for me is the classic rock star dream, and I was like, well, I don't want that if I'm not happy. Well, I do want it, but I don't want it with this band. And it's like, the whole putting your ladder up against the wrong wall. It was almost like that, but it looks like it's the right wall, because it's a weird one. But with the whole sort of band situation, I know you're kind of working on some stuff. I won't ask you to go into all of that, because I'm sure that is where I could try and steal the sound bite and be like, here, doing this now. But I know you've had a few different sort of projects and different bands and things, and collaborated with loads of people. Do you have in mind like I don't want to say an end goal, but like a sort of a resting place, if you like, for your sort of creative outlets in particular? Or do you enjoy kind of collaborating with different kind of people? What's the kind of what do you think is like? Yeah, I don't want to say end game, because that sounds very kind of like you can't change it, but yeah, sounds like a good movie.
It's a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah, I think for me it's like, if I'm not writing tunes and playing shows, it's kind of like, that's the thing that validates everything else in my kind of little world for myself. It's like, in my own head, I'll beat myself up if I haven't written enough, put stuff out, or gigged in a while. You know what I mean? I just love the creative aspect of it all. So it's like, I think that's always the pursuit for me, is constant, just trying to do something new. And I mean, it's like, it hasn't been like loads compared to other people's output, but I think like I don't know. Again, that's not a necessary thought to worry about, It's just that feeling of like always wanting to, push myself creatively and try just slightly different avenues, but always stay true to the thing that I enjoy the most, which is like writing music and playing guitar. So it's like, I think as long as I can keep playing shows in a band that's fun, people are great in it, and we all have a good time, and like, I don't think I at this stage could do the kind of slum it in a van for like 2 weeks to small rooms necessarily, unless it was like, I don't know, unless the music and the band, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Basically, like, I think if I was gonna go out and gig with a band now, I'd probably try and invest some of my own like money into it, so that I could get like a decent van, or like, something a bit more comfortable, if that makes sense. Because like, particularly with gigging with Frogleap, like it's like the shows, and you get to go on a tour bus and all that kind of stuff. You kind of get used to it a little bit, and that sounds really spoiled and horrible. I don't mean it like that.
Bus luxury.
but no, like the end goal really, or like the thing that I'm constantly trying to work towards, is just feeling satisfied with my musical output. So like, the next thing I want to do is like pursue a solo record, and work with this new band and just write a record with them and put that out too. gig with that, and maybe gig with the solo thing. But really, it's just for me to put that out. Feel like I've done that. So I've always kind of been scared of doing it. But I feel like now would be a nice time. I feel ready to try at least to give it a go, and that'll probably take a bunch of time. And whatever happens after that, we'll see. It's always been like, oh, we'll get to this point and then see what happens from there, kind of thing.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, but that's it. It's like, I feel like I spent the last sort of 10, 12 years doing more of the just jump in a van and gig and do these mental drives and sleep on your mate's floor. And like a lot of this stuff, yeah, done that for years, particularly in Toska. We did that most of the tours. We slept in like floors of like climbing walls, and Ben's uncle owns a climbing wall. We slept on the floor in there and like just slum it around. But it's immense. But I think now, if I was going to go out and do a longer tour, I'd definitely try and make it a little bit more comfortable for everybody.
We did a so it sounds so ridiculous now I look back on it, but we did one tour as a band. We got offered it from this band. It was very much a sort of buy-on kind of tour.
Right.
We went across Ukraine of all places.
Wow.
It just got offered to, and not recently, like it was obviously a while ago.
Yeah.
But we did an 11-hour drive, I think.
Yeah.
It could have been like, and this is in like a little van. It probably, if the roads, like the potholes in the roads were like, there's one that's probably nearly 2 foot deep, and it was about 105 miles, I think, and we were going 20 basically the whole way. It was horrific, but like I don't blame the driver, because if you went I was all over the place in the back of the van.
Oh my god!
But what really struck me weirdly was only yesterday when I spoke to Josh Middleton, sort of just before they played. He was talking. It was such a throwaway comment, but I found it like quite. I still haven't figured out what to make of it yet, but he was saying how, talking about, I hope this isn't I don't think this is going to be too much of a scoop, but touring with architects anyway, going away for, I think it was about 5 weeks or something. And he was kind of like, oh yeah, but I've got to be away from the kids and the family and that.
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, what? I'll do it. Like, like it's weird how your priorities can change, and like,
especially when you have a kid.
Yeah.
I think that's the main one for people. When they have kids, they don't expect it to change their world that much, but it's suddenly everything that you thought you wanted changes. I think I don't have kids, but I'm guessing that's how it works.
You're a proud dog owner. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I love my dog, but I won't not do a tour.
Well, I think Bill Burr says the best way to annoy parents is just to be like, I've got a dog. It's kind of like the same. And they're like,
yeah. Like the only parallel I see between kids and dogs is that they depend on you. That's about it.
Yeah.
Everything else is different. If you don't tend to a dog, it'll just die and starve. And that's basically what happens with a child.
Life lessons here. I'm glad we're getting into the important detail.
Sorry, I can be a little bit blunt. I don't. My mum says it's like from Yorkshire. It's like maybe a trait of Yorkshire, but whatever. But she said you can be a bit blunt when you talk. She's just as bad as I am.
Yeah, but it's much better. I think, and I do think there is a bit of a lack of that in there. Has that ever got you in trouble or anything?
Yeah, a lot. Like especially with Hannah. Like,
oh really?
Sometimes I just say things a bit too like bluntly and straight up, and it's just like not very sensitive or whatever. Or falling out with friends sometimes, and then not fully like just had a little bitch out with each other because I was a bit too harsh, or thought I was being fine, but apparently it was too harsh. So yeah, it's definitely, because it's like, I remember like my grandma and my mum are like that, turned back up, and because I've always had to like struggle with my weight up and down, so like whenever I put it on or whatever, I'll go home, she'll just go, oh, you've put on weight. Like in that kind of way, and you're like, Mum, like, why would you say it like that? And she doesn't mean it horribly, it's just how she just says exactly what comes out, and I think I have a problem with that too. And apparently that's a trait of people from Yorkshire or something. I don't know, maybe.
Well, funnily enough, my girlfriend's from Yorkshire, and only about 10 minutes before we chatted, she was like, your face looks weird. Like, this is a video call, and she was like, yeah, it looks like puffy. I'm like, what? Oh, am I not going to go chat to someone for like an hour on a video? Like what? So maybe it is. Maybe it's yeah.
It's just straight up. I think that's what I've been told. I'm a bit too straight up, a bit too blunt about things.
well, can you tell her that?
Yeah.
No, it was. I was kind of like, what? And I was looking at my face in the mirror, like, what is it?
Way to go. Feel
Yeah, I
great
know.
now.
Well, you've not said anything, but so I guess how you remember. I guess I can't remember when you last saw me. So, but yeah. What was I going to say? Do you feel like that attitude is that something that's actively helped in? I guess from the way you've described it, it sounds like maybe not. But I was going to say, has it helped career-wise, being able to kind of put your foot down?
Yes, I suppose over the years, but it's taken a while to feel confident enough to do that in certain ways, in certain situations, like whether it be with bands or like projects that I've been involved in. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm like someone that puts my foot down, like I'm bolshy or anything. Like, I'm not. Just that if I feel like I have a good idea, I'll try push for it to be heard more now compared to before, where I would try and wait till the end, but it might be too late, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I again with the old band, I wrote a lot of the material, and I think I would fight for ideas quite hard. And it's not like I wasn't totally like, we're doing it or I'm not in the band. It was more like when we got to the studio, I'd always kind of fight for the idea. Like if the producer's like, I don't know if we need this or whatever, I'd always be a bit like, oh, God, like,
yeah.
Good. And whereas I think I don't know whether the other guys maybe would fight for their ideas perhaps as much. That's not a criticism for the record, but it's just if you're open, some people are more like happy to be fluid with ideas and stuff. And but I think that came across probably as a controlling kind of thing. Whereas it's like it's not what I'm doing. I'm actually genuinely, I just really believe in this idea. And more often than not all the time, but it felt like they would come round to the idea. If it's a slightly different way of approaching like a groove or like a dual guitar part or something, which in a one guitar band is, you got a question anyway. But yeah.
No, I can relate to that. Definitely. I feel like maybe my memories of working with Toska, like that, to be fair, because we played together for so many years, like we met when we were like 17 and like played through and like only really did Toska, and it got kind of good gigs and took off after would have been like years of playing together. So it's like by that point, Ben and Dave kind of just let me kind of just crack on and just work. We worked together like that. They just kind of let me sort of take the lead, if you want to call it that, and they just add their bits. And then if I wanted to refine it, I'd just say, what about this, and try that. But it was never like I had to necessarily fight for a vision on something. I don't feel like, but maybe they'll be like, nah, he was a right dickhead. I don't know. But yeah, I don't really feel there was a lot of times. I suppose if, like you say, you just believe in the idea, I think I would just communicate like, no, I just think it's gonna be really good in the end. Like, let's just push forward with it and see where we can get. Would always be my kind of way of going, dealing with it with the band. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird. I think it's a guitarist thing. A songwriter
so
thing. Where it's because we're better. But yeah, I think because it naturally the guitar. I think of all your traditional band instruments, I would say lends itself most to writing a whole song. Like a song that you can't really. I think you could play. Obviously, you need the vocals, but like in terms of all the instrument-based things, keyboard as well. But when you talk about traditional rock music, it's more
keys and guitar are quickest to contextualize an idea, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like you can, because it's melody and rhythm basically, like, and harmony, isn't it? With the guitar, easy, because I don't play keys, but with the guitar, you got the rhythm in the riff, you got the melody in the riff, you got the harmony in the riff, so you can hear all the other stuff coming off it, can't you? Like when I write a riff, I can hear bass, drums, the whole context is in the head, and then it's just a case of like, so yeah, I think I agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, I think one something that I found again that I think is quite I think people might find interesting is to hear about is how obviously the kind of trajectory of your sort of career was massively helped by the whole Andertons sort of getting involved with that, and then that platform blowing up in the way it kind of has over the last decade or so, really. Like, was there ever kind of because obviously you've kind of you've got so much going on now, different like musical endeavors and things. Was there ever like, did you ever worry about being what's the word, sort of pigeonholed as like the Andertons guy? Not that that's a bad thing, but actually working away from that and doing all the things you do now, was that like a conscious decision to go, I want to make sure that I get involved with all these different things? Because obviously like people would kill to do that sort of Anderton's gig, you know, but it sounds like you've got a lot of creative outlets you want to pursue. Did you ever worry about being pigeonholed in that way at all, or no?
Yeah, I would say so. Because irrespective of my output and pursuit of music and original projects, obviously I was trying to earn a living doing YouTube and like that side of stuff. So that obviously means like working with brands and working with Andertons or shops like that, you know. So and that's where a lot of the effort was put to make sure that I could pay rent and do all that stuff, you know. Not that I ever worried, like I said before, not like I ever worried about it. It's just more like, that's fun. That's a way of me playing guitar, having fun, shooting videos. Like, I'm lucky enough to be in that position to do that. So I'm totally not complaining. I'll crack on. And it means I can do the music in the background and get that going and not have to worry about, you know, getting a record deal, basically getting an advance from a record deal to fund it. You know, I can work and I don't have to stress about that side of it, you know. But the byproduct of that being that, like, yeah, particularly with the Sound Like series getting so popular, most people that were exposed to, say, myself as a player would have been through there, and they would have just seen that as somebody that works at Andertons, which came across those kind of comments a lot. Again, didn't necessarily worry about it at any point, because I'm just like, well, yeah, but I know I'm not, and I play in bands and I go out on tour and I play on stage and I really don't care. Like, that's what I enjoy, and you know, this is the breadwinner, if you want to call it that. Like, this is how I earn a living. But now, like in the last few years, having worked and done all that and worked with brands and all that kind of stuff on things, you know, like the Kraken and, you know, amps and all this other stuff, as well as having put some, you know, records out and things like that. Now I fully want to focus more on the music, and so I'll be actually doing way less demo stuff, and I don't actually worry about it anymore. I don't want to do that anymore.
I just realized, this is such a me answer. I just realized something quite I don't quite know the word, but I realized Alter Bridge are like my all-time band. They're like the heroes.
Yeah.
And I realized the first riff I heard was you playing it. I just realized that.
Was it?
It was the you played
like
yeah, you played, it was
All Hope Is Gone.
Yeah, and White Knuckles as well. I remember
Banging
I've literally just thought of that. That was the first.
Really?
I mean, I'd heard. Yeah,
That's so funny.
that's weird. I'd never thought about that.
Yeah,
Is that like my absolute hit? Like, all the music I've written is like,
yeah.
that. So thanks, I guess.
No
I literally only just thought about that because my friend had told me about them, and I'd seen Mark Tremonti on like the magazines, and you know, when you have the like Total Guitar magazines and stuff. I'd never thought about that. That's that kind of. I'm not gonna lie. You were talking about an answer. I was like, what?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
I was kind of thinking like, oh, he's saying something important now, but I've just gone all in my head.
Yeah.
The what's the you're talking about like kind of pursuing the more creative stuff with the. I think because I've attempted I've attempted before the kind of thing that I've seen on your channel in terms of like demoing stuff and you know, running through these kind of things, and I always found the process of putting the video together so painful, and I found I spent so much time doing that above and beyond actually playing the guitar. Do you ever find yourself getting, because I know you've got a video editor now, right, that you source it out to, was your reason for that to just have more time to do musical stuff, or do you kind of enjoy the whole creative side of putting these things together?
I think because I was doing a lot of pedal demos and that kind of style edit, and I was doing Sound Like edits as well at the time, it was too much. So yeah, and because, you know, doing that, I could afford to employ a video editor, and he could take all the all those kind of videos away from my workload, and I was able to focus more on like doing the creative videos or like playthrough videos, or like if I was going to do videos, but also write tunes and focus more on that. Yeah. Sorry, what was the rest of the question?
It was basically just was that the reason for putting your videos, like outsourcing your video production?
Yeah, it was to have more time, and to be able to do more with my, to be able to play guitar more, just generally. Because the other thing is like with the YouTube demoing, like I can guarantee that like 95% of all my YouTube videos, like it's a all the playing is like a bucket of like YouTube demo playing, because you just get locked into this weird, it's like red light syndrome, but it's not, because like over the years of doing it, you build this like vocabulary of like demo playing, if that makes sense. It's like completely separate to when you just sit and play guitar. I don't know if other people relate to that, but for me it is, and it bothers me, over time. I'm like, I just fed up with the same sounding playing that I do. So like I wanted to focus more on just sitting and playing, because I was filming and editing so many videos. That's why I really outsourced the editing, so that I could just enjoy exploring guitar playing and music without having to worry about it being filmed.
So I just, one thing, when you do all your demos and you'd say you demo like an overdrive pedal or something, or you demo a guitar, maybe like a metal kind. I remember you demoed, I think some Mayonnaise guitars or something a while back. And I have to confess, you know how you do it it makes total sense. You go from like the clean to like the crunch and a bit of like the in between, then you get to the heavy. I always just click to the heavy, and then I go back and do all the other stuff. I feel like I'm always, that's probably just where my brain goes, but
everyone's got different preferences in the video, what they want to hear. So
it makes total sense the way you do it. Like it's just my brain's like, okay, I'll hear it heavy, and if I like that, I'll go back and see what the rest is about.
Fair.
I think that's,
but like I say, for me, like with that side of it, I think now going forward, I'm just going to do much less, if any, really.
Yeah. Well, I'll hit you up when I've got a pedal then, or I won't. I've got a friend who started making pedals, actually. It sounded quite good, weirdly.
Nice.
I'd plug it, but I don't even think he's got a name for him yet, so I can't help you with that. But how do you decide what makes the cut, like video-wise? So I know I've seen you kind of trying a few different series and things where, like, I know you did some like reaction style video, and I've seen, I know it's going to be part of the process, isn't it? It's deciding and like trying out new like spins. I know you've done, there was a period where you do quite regular Q&As, and then sometimes, and now it's kind of a bit more as and when. Like, how do you decide what kind of, I'm guessing my assumption is that it's just down to what you enjoy, but
literally, like, that's why I wouldn't consider myself a content creator, because I'm not very good at keeping consistency with it. I think it's of a cool idea, but really it's just, I just like playing guitar. So every time it boils down, it always just comes back to like, I don't know, there's been a lot of, I don't know, pressure to keep doing YouTube, and I like making videos, but really I like playing guitar more and writing riffs and stuff. So I think if I can incorporate the two, I will, because like you say, I've tried different series and things like that, and some of them are fun, people enjoy them, and some of them, I think it's, again, when you start to worry about those things like that aren't in your control, like you can't guarantee someone's going to enjoy a video you make. So I think I started to go down that, like, do something more cool on YouTube, like instead of just a pedal demo or whatever. I don't know. Felt lost with YouTube for like the last 2 years now, since lockdown, really. Just kind of floated through, and just if a pedal demo's come along, I've done it. I've tried to do other bits and bobs here and there, but really, I've just wanted really to just focus on being an artist and playing music and pursuing that. So I feel like personally, like a good milestone was this plugin dropping, because it's like, it forced me to push what is the sound that I want to pursue, which was a kind of good indication in the song that I wrote for the launch track, and just crack on with that and just not worry about that stuff anymore. Just doesn't make me happy as much now, I think.
Yeah. Could you see yourself moving towards like a thing where YouTube is more like just facilitating the other stuff you do, Is
Yeah.
that I didn't want to make that too much, and I know obviously a lot of people are keenly watching you, so I didn't want to make that sound too much like you're just binning it off kind of
No,
thing.
I'm not binning it off at all. Like I'll always like be doing that because that's where I engage with people. Like one of the beautiful things about what I've managed to grow over the years is that everyone seems really positive in like the community around my YouTube channel. Like everyone's so nice. Like you never really get trolls or any dickheads there. It's just like seems just people are cool, like and supportive. Like and yeah, in fact, there's a track that, and also it's worth saying that like what I've started to notice is that people seem to get the most enjoyment out when I put tracks up there instead of demos. Like they seem to be where people enjoy it. So it's like, well, why wouldn't I do more of that, you know? And I think that's what I want to do more of on my channel. So it's not binning it off. It's just, you might find just a video 10 minutes long of just playing through a pedal that got sent through. I don't want to be, yeah, it does this and it's capable of that. Like I'm just done with it. Like in that sense, there's so many other people that are capable of delivering that information to you. I'd rather just play through it and put that playing up, and if that works for you, then great kind of thing. But I'd rather just make tunes and share the process like that on YouTube, if anything. Or like, yeah, so I was going to say like that I did a track recently that I put out. It's called Just Cause. So I just wanted to make a heavy track just cause, literally that's why it's called that. And the comment in one of the highest rated comments, just referring to like the positivity in my YouTube community, is that this guy's like, just heard this. I'm just about to go into like, I think it's like a sales presentation, like a board meeting for a promotional thing. I feel so fired up. I'm just going to go and fucking slay it. And it was like, I checked the comment like an hour later and there's a bunch of replies, people being like, well, how did it go, man? Tell us. And he's like, fucking smashed it. Like, and he replies, and then it's like got loads of upvotes, and people are, yeah, fuck yeah, dude, you fucking smashed it. That's awesome. And just like this big thread. And I was like, that is the sickest thing ever. Like to see that happen, you know, just through putting a stupid little track out on YouTube just for fun, you know. And I don't want to lose that. So I it's not binning it off. I just want to maybe focus less on what I think I should do and actually just enjoy what I want to do, kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a weird one where there's so many pulls in different directions because as a musician, it's great that you can make money doing like X, Y, and Z above and beyond. Like I feel like there are so many ways to make money like with a guitar, but not like as a guitarist. I feel like it's quite hard to, as part of why I'm doing the podcast is because I want to be able to sit and chat with people who I find interesting and who I like. But then I don't have to really edit much of this. I can kind of just, it's here. This is the content. Like, if it were more an interview or if it were like, I get little clips, like I said, but I just watch it back and I just clip that's a bit of work, but it's not very hard.
Yeah.
So like I was thinking, what skills do I have? It's like, I think I can, hopefully decide for yourself. I think I can talk to people okay. And how can I get that as quickly up onto the platform as possible? But it's quite difficult with guitar, like unless you've got a really, really unique style or you've got a following in some way already, it's really hard just to stand out and just like for people to just follow you because you're a good guitar player and they like your music. It's almost like you've got to have a teaching platform, or you've got to review this, that, and the other, you know. It's so tricky to just, as much as there are so many possibilities in terms of sheer, like, that's all right, bless you, in terms of sheer, what do you say back to bless you? Do you say thank you?
I think you just say thanks, yeah. Thanks.
But what am I thanking you for? Like, what?
I don't know, some weird old school thing. I don't even know.
With demons, isn't it? Or
yeah, blow the demons away or some shit. I don't know.
I always, whenever someone says bless you, you too.
Yeah, confusion basically.
About 2:00, I don't know. Yeah, like but yeah, I mean, so I guess it'd be cool just to, like, I guess wrap up and ask what you think. I don't know. We've kind of already gone over, I guess, what the future holds. What's the name of this album actually? Thinking of on the shirt.
Nice.
And it's called What the Future Holds. There you go. This is the quality of this anyway. What and I don't just mean like necessarily career wise, but like what are you looking forward? Yeah, like what are you looking forward to, and what do you think you want to changed, the more you're excited about going forward?
Yeah, for the whole life side of it. Well, I just recently started driving, so that's a huge thing,
Sick.
to start enjoying the road and exploring more, being a bit
You're
more
swearing
free.
at people in no time.
Yeah, I already am. My
Oh,
girlfriend
great.
tells me off for it. She gets very stressed at me for swearing at people. I don't swear at people, but like if
Oh,
someone
really?
like does something that I'm like, whoa, then I'll, because I'm still new to it, so I'm not used to other behavior on the road.
Mm.
Then I might be like, what, dickhead, what are you doing? Like to myself. And she's like,
What can
"Calm
I say
down."
on a podcast right now?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so that's exciting, I suppose. Yeah, on the music side, just pursue my own musical. I want to just do a solo album and work with the new band, and that be the main focus. And whatever gets put on YouTube is cool, but just like that's the thing. And in life, kind of like just trying to pursue a healthier lifestyle, I suppose. Like I've really enjoyed skating. I had my knee injury. I've had to wait the last 18 months nearly to try and skate again. My knees are pretty ruined, so it's like having to accept that I can't like maybe pursue it quite as much as I want to, but also like focus on like health and stuff. Like I said before, I struggle with my weight quite a bit. It's like I found a better balance with it, but then it requires a lot of routine and that kind of thing. So I'm really trying to just, one of the things with like touring or that lifestyle or traveling with work and stuff is that it's harder to have regularity in your routine, especially for exercise, a lot of traveling. I know a lot of people do it, but it's something that I think you have to work towards and get used to. And I'm not so much used to that as I am disciplined to just get up and go to the gym 3 times a week if I'm at home, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I'm really trying to pursue that as well. Especially after summer, it's been a pretty hectic summer, so I need to like get back in there and focus on that. So like my health is important to me these days, and wanting to get back into skating again as a regular thing. And I guess, yeah, just seeing where it all goes. I mean, happy here in Brighton and stuff. Maybe we'll move at some point soon. I would love to find a place where I can set up an actual drum room.
Come to Birmingham.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or back up Yorkshire as well, like where
Yeah.
we're from. But like trying to find somewhere where I can build like a studio in the garden, that kind of thing.
Mm.
It's ambitious, obviously. It's an intense thing to want, but equally, like I'd love to try and get there so that I can literally create everything from home. I know I can in this room, so I don't want to sound ungrateful, but genuinely there's a big difference between an electric kit and an acoustic kit. And the whole programmed drum sound is something that I would love to get away from as well, because it's great, but equally everything sounds like that now. So, but overall in life, yeah, just enjoy being alive and enjoy being fortunate enough to be in this position where I can play music and kind of do that for a living and like go out and play gigs and meet people. And that's just something that I'm constantly like, this is insane that I'm able to do that. I just feel thankful for it. So yeah, I think that is that a good answer?
That's shit.
You know what I mean? Like I said enough about what I want to do in the future. I feel like
no, for sure. Like I think the things you talked about were all things that I think a lot of musicians could, and I always say musicians, but really I think it's a creative trait, is to have this idea. It's almost romanticized the kind of the lackluster, lost in life like musician or artist or whatever. And it's like, I think that kind of finding, like you say about structure and routine and stuff like that, I've been finding more of that recently, and I found myself feeling so much better. Because I have friends who I went to quite a good school. I have friends doing really well, earning silly amounts of money in the city, and they have routine and they do really well on that front. And like I have to check myself every now because I look at that and I'm like, because I very much fell away from that lifestyle, and I just thought, no, music's what I want to do. You just have to remind yourself, like you said, that like it's about pursuing what you really love doing. And
my camera's cut out. Can you hear me?
It's a good time. I can hear you.
It's too hot. It's just my camera just said internal temperature. Wait, let me swap to my.
Go on then.
Sorry.
You can just webcam.
I'm swapping it to the webcam.
There we go. You're good. I get to see the unseen side of the room.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's just,
I feel like that's geez, is that like a whole? Whoa!
yeah,
It looks like you're going to be abducted.
Yeah, no, that's just how you get consistent light. But the problem is, like, the windows are shut, and it is so hot right now.
Yeah, I need to sort my lighting out. It's not the best, but
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that's wicked. I admire your sort of. It seems like balance in life, which is kind of what everyone says is the key. However,
I don't know if it's that
inside
balanced. I don't know if it's that balanced. I'm trying constantly to balance it. I think since lockdown, I feel like I've done a better job of that. In the last few months, I feel like that's been a bit hard to do, particularly on the health side. And it's something that I'm really sensitive to nowadays, like to try and keep the weight off. So it's like, that's the balancing thing that I would consider. Yeah. When I think about balance, I think about my sort of health. And then that's my main thing that I think when you say balance. But the rest of it, yeah, I just crack on with it. Don't worry, enjoy kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's balanced though.
Well, I mean, everyone seems more balanced from the outside. Well, not everyone.
Not everyone, but I know what you mean. From the outside, it can seem like everyone's got their shit together. Everyone doesn't. I don't think anyone does. I think, truthfully, if everybody's completely honest with themselves, there's always an area that people feel they need to work on with themselves, whatever it is. That doesn't mean to be a depressing thought. It's more just, I think it's good to progress yourself, like have self-progression throughout life. Like, no one's ever sussed it until you're dead, right?
Yeah. I've started, I write every day what I've done.
Sick.
And like what I, various other things, like trying to keep track of all that, just like keeping on and like, what am I grateful for? It sounds really corny, doesn't it? But it works.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like I said to you earlier, I often think about, what I'm thankful for. And I think it's really important to do. I think it's well important to keep your head below the clouds kind of vibe.
Yeah. That's that's okay. Well, so let's ask, so you need the following guest needs a question from you. You can dob me in it as much as the last guy did.
Okay, if you could. Okay, I've got a good one.
How much am I going to like this?
If you could go back to any monumental moment in human history and witness it with your own eyes, what would that be?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, it could be anything, right? Good, bad, epic, sad. I don't know what the hell, but that's the question. Like, because there's so many cool things, like Hendrix at Woodstock, or I don't know. Oh, it's just the first one that popped into my head.
I just go back 2 months and get my hair cut a bit earlier. No, yeah, that would be, yeah.
Or to be able to witness something to be able to witness it. So being able to like be in the headspace of the dude, what was his name? Felix something, that jumped out of the Red Bull thing.
Oh yeah.
Imagine that, like being able to be
feeling it as well.
Sat in the pod, be like, "Are you all right, bro?" Like, "Are you good? Are you ready?"
Are you in the pod with him, or are you just in his head?
Just like either, just like witness that. It's just such a stupid thought.
So this idea of you appearing, in like Churchill's war room or something, and like,
what I mean, like, you sure you got the sus, man? I'm not sure, man. I mean, I'm from the future, and
he's going to make a mistake, and you're there just like, like every time.
yeah. Careful.
I think, I don't know if I'd go. I'd have to go somewhere. I think I'd go to like somewhere like quite dark and evil. I don't know, just to see, like, sounds a bit like sadistic, but I feel like I'd have to go to like some sort of battle, or like a.
Do you reckon, like what, like Battle of Hastings, or like?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, or like some World War II.
I don't know. Yeah, that is dark. It's a bit bleak, isn't it? But,
yeah, but it's like, I feel like can you imagine coming out of that though? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, let's just say that you're invulnerable to, any danger. You can go and witness it. Like you can be just there.
Yeah.
So that's the question. If you could go to any monumental moment in human history,
so you actually built the pyramids.
There you go. Damn That is like the best answer.
Yeah. There you
I
go.
want to know. Aliens.
Yeah, probably. Dumped them all there. Yeah. So, okay, and I also need you to plug a band or like an artist. I've kind of widened it to like music person or just like a creative person that you want to spread the love for.
There are so many, but honestly, one of my favorite guys that's like really just painfully talented is it's called Aaron DeLay, and he's known as Snowflake Inc. on like Spotify, I think.
Cool.
And he's a friend of mine from up north. And he basically he was in a band called Trigger Thumb. He's in a band called Trigger Thumb, and they played at Arctangent. They're like a progressive kind of math rock band. Plays guitar and sings, writes a lot of the music, and he's always been like the sort of creative force behind whatever he's done. And he did this album over lockdown, which is completely self-produced, written all by himself, done it all at home. Like I would say it's like a UK rap kind of like mixed in with a bit, influenced a bit by like Eminem in places. Like you can hear early Eminem influences, and it's about. I feel like it's a lot of it's from what's going on in his head over lockdown. Like it's a real mental diary, and it's absolutely outstanding if you're into that style of music, more of the urban sound. But he's just very, very creative. And what's beautiful about the whole thing is that he can do any of it. He can jump on a guitar, write a fat riff, scream in a band and sing and create these amazing songs with his band. Or he can go and just handle it in Ableton and make the most amazing electronic music. It's just like, he's one of those guys. And no one knows about him, really. I feel like a very small group of people up north do, and it's like this guy needs more recognition.
I've been
incredible producer.
Yeah, that's wicked. I've been meaning to. There's a band around here in Birmingham. Genuinely, no word of a lie, one of the best live bands I've ever seen in my life. They play regularly to about like 40, 50 people. They're called Echo Gecko.
Okay.
2 C's in the Gecko, as they always say.
Yeah,
they are the shit. I have no idea how they're not like. They're like, I don't know how to put it, like psychedelic indie rock, but there's lots of 5s and 7s in going on. Where you're like, oh,
okay, nice.
Check that out.
Awesome. Yeah, I will. Echo Gecko.
The music online isn't quite. You have to like see them. It's great online. Well, like it's the music sounds good. They're great songs.
Yeah,
but, like, you got to see them.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah. I just like the raw passion that Aaron has, and like I said, it's his artist name is Snowflake Dash Inc.
Okay.
And his album that came out is called The Jelly Meat Journal.
That doesn't sound like something you should share with someone.
It was earlier this year. It's just a banging collection of songs in a style that, yeah, like I say, it's more like that urban kind of electronic hip hop mixed with a bit of American stuff, hip hop Eminem vibes. It's great.
That just reminds me of my friends who released an EP called Salt, so that it could be the Salt EP.
Nice, the Salt EP. Yeah, amazing.
That was yeah. Anyway, if you've got any last little things you want to plug or promote, then or message to the world, then let me know.
No, I guess yeah. I'm not binning off YouTube, and also
don't worry, I wasn't accusing you of that.
Yeah, no. And I'll do and I'm looking forward to bringing out more music for myself, but everybody to listen to if they want to hear it. If not, no worries.
Sick. Well, thank you.